Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to divert your kind attention that ethics is withering from our society. It has become a rare phenomenon. Now the question arises, why it is so? It is quite clear that there are two aspects of life. One, the physical aspect of life, other, the ethical way of life. Everyone is trying to strengthen its physical aspect of life, and everyone is trying to avoid its ethical way of life. And that's why every individual, in this context it is quite clear that every individual, as an individual and as a society, try to claim that they are very happy. But actually they are not. Every individual and as a society is trying to, if I try to go deeper into the sea of reality, I would like to get stern truth of life. And what is that? That everyone is experiencing extreme callousness, torture, tension, chaos, syndrome, agony and torture and things like that, and law of jungle. And our human society has become, that way, bifurcated between the two warring groups. If I try to analyze, that of this thing, that is very, that way important, that we are trying to strengthen physical aspect of life, and we are trying to avoid, set aside the ethical way of life. And that's why we are groping in the quagmire of suffocation. We are experiencing extreme callousness, and our society is trying to portray hall of pandemonium, where voice of decency and decorum has suffocated. And even then we claim that we are very happy, but actually we are not. There are again, I'm of the opinion, two aspects of life. Physical aspect of life and ethical aspect of life. Our physical aspect of life is very strong. We are trying to develop our economic, but we are trying to set aside our ethic, moral principle and the principle of deen. So it is, our society is trying to represent topsy-turvy society. A society full of disequilibrium, a society which is uneven. It is because of the fact that there are two aspects of life, physical aspect of life and ethical aspect of life. We are trying to avoid ethical way of life deliberately, and on top of that we do not want to repent over it. The thing that takes me to the word of ecstasy, the thing that takes me to the word of rapture, the thing that tries to cool my brow and provide me assuage, solace, comfort and richness of contentment, and take me to the word of sublimity and inspiration. So I would like to present before you Surah Rahman, in which God says, the most gracious, the most merciful, taught the Quran, created man and taught him eloquence. The sun and the moon move by precise calculation, and the stars and trees prostrate, and the heaven he raised and imposed the balance, that do not transgress within the balance, and establish fate in justice, and do not make in the balance. And the earth he laid out for the creation, therein is fruit and palm tree having teeth of date, and grain having husk and chatted plant. So which of the favor of your Lord who will deny? He created man from clay like that of poetry, and he created the jinn from a smokeless flame of fire. So which of the favor of your Lord who will deny? He created man from clay like that of poetry, and he created the jinn from a smokeless flame of fire. He is Lord of the truth sunrise and the Lord of the truth sunset. He released the two seas, between side by side, between them is a barrier, so neither of them transgresses. So which of the favor of your Lord will deny? In both of them emerged pearl and gold, and to him belonged the ship elevated in the sea like mountain, Everyone upon it that is earth will perish, and there will remain the face of your Lord, honor, majesty, and honor. So which of the favor of your Lord would you deny? Whoever is within the heaven and earth, ask him every day. He is in that is bringing about the matter. So which of the favor of your Lord would you deny? Who will attend to you, O prominent being? So which of the favor of your Lord would you deny? O company of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the regions of the heaven and the earth, then pass. You will not pass except by authority from Allah. There will be sent upon you a flame of fire and smoke, and you will not defend yourself. The criminals will be known by their mark and will be seized by the forelock and the feet. And when the heaven is split open and becomes rose color like oil, then on that day none will be asked about his sin among men again. So which of the favor of your Lord would you deny? So, my dear shadows, my dear boys and girls who are listening my lecture, I have presented the major part of Surah Rahman. Actually, I want to divert very miserable phenomena of our society. And what is that? I would like to give you the example. For instance, if I want to give gift to my friend, my brother, my sister, whatever he is, he will definitely try to reciprocate it. But God has bestowed us bounty of blessing, countless blessing, numberless blessing, multiplication of blessing. But we are not trying to repay. Now the question arises, why it is so? It is quite clear that we have become pragmatic, utilitarian instead of egalitarian. From dawn to dusk we are busy to accumulate wealth. And this accumulation of wealth has given us sense of competition. And this sense of competition has made us so busy that we cannot take part in other affairs of life. And our human society are bifurcated between the two warring groups, have and have not. It's quite clear. Now the question arises, who are responsible? I lay responsibility on the two groups mainly. First, our layman, the common man, and the younger generation. Second, our so-called role model, our so-called planner, our so-called pioneer. They are equally responsible. Now let us analyze how our younger generation and layman and the common man are responsible for this thing. You know, what happened is that I'm very much hopeful. I'm very much hopeful about my younger generation. Hopeful, very much optimistic, very much positive. Because if they utilize their energy, their power, their sagacity, their wisdom, their enlightenment, their cognitive skill and their craftsmanship, and following the principle of Deen, the ethic, the moral, the spirit, then definitely they can transform this society into a society of heaven, peace and comfort. But actually what happened is that our youth, our layman, our common man are living in the world of utopia. They are living in the world of utopia, in the world of romanticism, in the world of imagination, and in the world of parasite. And they think that everything will pass, everything they will achieve, everything they will get success. But success cannot belong to those people who do not want to activate themselves. So our younger youth, our layman and the common man think that everything will change without their activation. It must be their first and foremost duty that they should come out from the dragginess, from the slowness, from the lethargic attitude, and they should try to realize the bitter realities of life, the acrimonious realities of life. If they face the acrimonious realities of life, and if they try to follow the principle of being, the ethic, the moral, the spirit, you know, I am of the opinion that what is the greatest problem of our country? The greatest problem of our country is ethic, moral, lack of ethic, lack of principle of Deen. And that's why we are groping the quagmire of suffocation. We are humiliating not only in society, but all over the world. Now, then there is another group. Or so-called role model, or so-called planner, or so-called elite, who are living in their ivory tower. They have become so formidable, superhuman creatures that they do not want to come down to rub shoulder with the downtrodden and that of the poverty-stricken. They never try to rub shoulder with the downtrodden, but they try to rub shoulder when they want to squeeze even the last drop of blood from the veins of the downtrodden, that of the poverty-stricken. Their main job is to amass money, their main job is to collect money, their main job is to multiply money. Their main job is to collect all the time money for their vested interest and for the children, not for the children of nation. So that's why there are a lot of problems. You know, they have become so draggy. They are living in their ivory tower. They have become so formidable, superhuman creatures that their main job is to amass money, to collect money, to multiply money. And what God says, these people in Surah Al-Humazah, what God says in Quran, in Surah Al-Humazah, what God says about these people. God says, woe to every scholar and mocker who collects wealth and continuously count it. He thinks that his wealth will make him immortal. But Quran says, no, he will surely be thrown in the crusher. And what can make you know what is a crusher? Crusher is hellfire of Allah, where is eternal refuge, which mount directly at the heart. Indeed, that is hellfire, will be closed down upon that in extended column. And as I have pointed out, that they are living in their ivory tower. They have become so formidable, superhuman creatures. So for these so-called superhuman creatures, what God says in Surah Al-Fil, God says, have you not considered, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, how your Lord done to the companion of elephant? Did he not make their plan into this garden? And he sent again the bird and frog, stacking them in stones of hard clay, and he made them like eaten, etc. So what happened is that they must try to compromise, they must try to cooperate, they must try to help, they must try to support that of the younger, that of the nation. But actually they do not want to have this thing. Now, I want to divert my attention towards that of younger youths. Now, how they can change? You know, this is quite simple phenomena. How you can develop and what is the road in which you can measure the development of society when we try to create an equality between physical aspect of life and ethical aspect of life. When we create a balance between that of the two, then definitely we can develop. And this thing has been acknowledged, even the world role model, even the world pioneer. You know, in this context, I am of the opinion, Bertrand Russell is of the opinion, he says, what is European civilization? European civilization means two things, physical aspect of life and ethical aspect of life. And so far as Europe is concerned, Europe has made a lot of effort, lot of success, lot of victory, so far as the physical aspect of life. But Europe is weak in ethics, and that's why he called European civilization is a complete fiasco, a complete failure. And he also tried to communicate about the modern scientists, modern technology, modern achievement, and modern development. He says, I am very much supporter of modern science, modern technology, modern advancement, modern achievement. But there is one drawback. But he is of the opinion that there is one drawback. And what is that? He is of the opinion, he gives an example, he is of the opinion if you travel from one distance to another distance, you consume oil, you consume gas, you consume petroleum. But he is of the opinion this modern scientist, this modern technologist, this modern civilized human being cannot reproduce it. And that's why he gives an example. He is of the opinion, take one glass of water and pour ink into this glass of water. It will dissolve, it will never come back. So he is of the opinion modern technology based on this perspective. Modern technology is based on this perspective. And that's why there is a destruction. He is of the opinion, he gives an example. He gives an example. He says if we try to give rise, that of ethics, then we can secure the future of this universe. For that he gives an example. He is of the opinion the modern scientists, the modern technologists, the modern advancement of science, they are trying to extract this, under process which is in the underground. You know, in the underground there is a treasure, lot of treasure. But the modern scientist, the modern achievement, the modern developer, the modern advancement of science, they are trying to extract this thing like a spendthrift child from the underground. And he fears that if they keep on doing this thing like a spendthrift child and lavish child, a day will come when it will exhaust. Now he is of the opinion it is a duty. It must be the first and foremost duty. We can secure this universe only and only when we try to infuse in the mind of ethics into these scientists, these modern technologies, these modern civilized human beings. Otherwise, there will be a great chaos. Because the process of underground is a process of thousand and million year process. But we are trying to accept like a spendthrift child, like a lazy child, and a day will come when it will exhaust. How we can avoid it? When we try to infuse instinct in the mind of these people. And in the end, I am of the opinion, it must be the first and foremost duty of the younger generation, of laymen and the common man, that they should try to open their eyes. They should try to open their eyes. If they open their eyes, then definitely they can transform this society into a society of heaven, peace and comfort. And if they don't try to do things, then definitely they have to face sort of torture and trouble. Now it must be the first and foremost duty of the younger generation, the layman and the common man, whom I am 100% hopeful about this younger generation. Because if they utilize their energy, their power, their sagacity, their wisdom, their enlightenment, with the help of ethic in the when they try to give rise ethic, morals and principle of Deen, then they can transform their society into a society of heaven, peace and comfort. And so far as our world role models are concerned, so far as our planners are concerned, so far as our pioneers are concerned, we are hopeless about these people. But we are very much hopeful, 100% hopeful about the younger generation and laymen and the common man. If they utilize their energy, then they can definitely transform this society into a society of heaven, peace and comfort. So this thing plays one of the most important roles. This thing plays one of the most essential roles. Now, in the end, I am of the opinion, as I say, that our younger generation should try to open their eyes, and they should try to find out those who are having surplus money. Because surplus money is like a knife in a child's hand. There is no knowing when it will cut your throat. So it must be their first and foremost duty that they should try to realize their responsibility ethically, morally, spiritually, and trying to follow the principle of Deen. If they do so, then definitely they can create a society of success, peace, comfort, tranquility and whatnot. Otherwise, there will be problem. There will be a great problem for them. So I am very much, from the very beginning I pointed out that I am very much hopeful, I am very much positive, I am very much optimistic about my younger youth. Because if they utilize their power, their experience of life, their everything, then definitely they can transform this society into a society of heaven, peace and comfort. In this context, I would like to give that example from history. You know, if I try to go back, out of the struggle of Pakistan, it was only the layman, the younger man, the younger generation and the common man who come out, who tried to, shunt out their dragginess, their slowness, their everything, and they tried to take part active. They tried to take part active, way of life, and definitely with the help of their effort, with the help of their achievement, with the help of their struggle, they got Pakistan. And definitely I am very much optimistic, I am very much positive, I am very much hopeful that the day will come when they try to utilize. Only there is one thing which is one of the most important, that they should try to utilize their energy, their power, their sagacity, their wisdom, their enlightenment, following the principle of Deen, following the ethic, the moral, the religion, then definitely they can transform this society into a society of peace and comfort. Otherwise, we are experiencing that everyone as an individual and as a society are experiencing extreme carelessness, extreme chaos, extreme disorder, and they are experiencing a lot of ferociousness, a lot of callousness, a lot of acrimonious things. If they want to avoid these things, then definitely they should try to come out from their dragginess. In this context, I would like to give the example. Those who think that everything will pass, they will get, and they will achieve. But I would like to communicate for those people that their example is like that of the pigeon. When pigeon sees a cat, he closes his eyes and think that everything will pass. And then there is a beautiful example of a pigeon. When pigeon sees a cat, when an ostrich sees a danger, he buries his head into the mud and thinks that danger will pass. But actually danger will never pass. It will pass when they try to shatter their dragginess, their slowness, their lethargy, and they should come out from they should try to come out from their imagination, from the utopia, from the word of parasite. Parasite means when you try to depend upon others. Never try to depend upon others. It is you who try to utilize their energy, their power, their scarcity, their wisdom. Then definitely they can change this society into a society of success, into a society of peace, into a society of development, into a society of comfort, into a society of heaven, into a society of success, not only for this world but also for the rest of the world.